Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. This is Krishna Dasa. Today we are going to do chapter 5, Shlokas 18 to 24. Before we begin, let me say the prayer to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. You are ready, Smitaji? I will play the Shlokas. Okay?
Should we just say Guru Brahma?
Okay. Okay.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru
गुरुदेवो महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म
Mahesh.
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः.
Krishna.
Hare
हरे
Krishna.
कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.
हरे
Thank
कृष्ण.
you so much. Hare Krishna.
विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पण्डिताः समदर्शिनः इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गो येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य च प्रियम् स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मविद्ब्रह्मणि स्थितः बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुम् प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवम् वेगम् स युक्तः स सुखी नरः योऽन्तः सुखोऽन्तरारामस्तथान्तर्ज्योतिरेव यः स योगी ब्रह्मनिर्वाणम् ब्रह्मभूतोऽधिगच्छति.
Hare Krishna. So it is 5.18 to 5.24.
Sure. Can I start, Guruji?
Yes, please.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned, a gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. 5.19. Those minds are established in sameness and equanimity, have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. 5.20. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who's self-intelligent, who's unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God is already situated in transcendence. 5.21. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. 5.22. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. 5.23. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the forces of nature, or forces of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in his world. 5.24. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward and is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Thank you, Guruji.
No, thank you, Smitaji. Thank you so much for the instant volunteering. I really appreciate that. So as you can see, there's a lot of profound teachings again today. So Krishna, in these verses, he is saying that a truly wise and self-realized individual perceives the same divine essence in all beings, regardless of the external appearances or external differences. So just as the ocean I mean, there may be a million waves in the ocean, but it's all part of the same ocean. That is the spirit. And so Krishna specifically is saying that a self-realized soul will see the divine presence in all creatures, be it a Brahmin, elephant, dog, or even an outcast. See, for example, we may, especially women, they they may have these kind of discussions on my bracelet is better than my necklace, or my earring is better than your earring, and we can have debates and all of that. But the jeweler knows that it is the same gold. The jeweler knows that array is the same gold that I've used in both. So the appearance, we are fighting over it. We are seeing differences. We are trying to compare, but at the essence, it's the same gold. Just like that, Krishna is saying that one may be a Brahmin, one may be a dog, elephant, whatever, but the essence, it's all the same spirit. And that is what we need to be able to realize. It is not about just understanding. Understanding is the beginning. We have to first understand that is the truth. And eventually, when we progress on the path, we have to aim for that real realization, where when you see any living being, you will be able to see the same divine presence. If you can see that, that means you have reached self-realization. That is what Krishna is saying here. One of my other favorite examples used to be, like the difference between steam and ice and regular water. Just imagine people fighting over which is superior. One person says steam is superior because it can drive a steam engine, and one person says no, water is superior because you need it to live. But then isn't it ridiculous, because we all know that it is the same H2O, and they're all just different manifestations, but so it's just like that. So Krishna uses the word Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, which is people with knowledge and humility. They can see that all living beings, they are part of the same Supreme God, the same essence. And this is what in 5.18 Krishna is calling us the vision of knowledge. Just also note that Krishna is repeating the importance of humility. So Krishna doesn't say it comes only with knowledge. Krishna says when you combine that knowledge with humility, you will be able to get into the mode of vision of knowledge. So according to Krishna, humility is the first sign that you are actually becoming knowledgeable. So Krishna says a lot of material knowledge makes us egoistic, makes us proud. But true divine knowledge, according to Krishna, a person, if he actually understands, if he or she understands divine knowledge, the first symptom that a person is understanding divine knowledge is they will have humility. They will come across as very humble souls. Humility is very important even in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He will also keep repeating the same thing, that lack of ego, lack of pride. And in the last session, I think we discussed how to tell if we are getting purified. You remember we spoke about purification is so important, and we also had a question on how can we tell if we are getting purified. So this is one such measure of purity. If you are able to remain humble, that is one of the signs that your purification is starting, your purification is happening. Now let us extend this concept just a little further. Is it just living beings who are to be considered equal? What about other entities? Like what about seasons? What about things like happiness, sadness, prosperity, poverty, victory, defeat? So this is the essence. When Krishna advised Arjuna to handle all of this equanimously, this was the same essence in Krishna's teaching. So we can probably revisit what we learned in chapter 2, 2.48. Ashaji, you want to read that shloka?
Sure, sir.
Okay.
So 2.48.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्धसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते.
Thank you so much. Beautifully read. So that shloka translated to be steadfast in the performance of your duty, O Arjuna. Abandon attachment to success and failure. And then Krishna said in that shloka that this is samatvam. And this samatvam is what is the outcome of yoga. So if you call yourself a yogi, then the most important quality is, do you have samatvam? Then you can call yourself a yogi. So how do we develop this samatvam? How do we get this kind of a calmness of mind? So our scriptures, they talk about Sama and Dama. Sulata ji may remember this because she had some questions about this last time when we went through this topic. So Sama means control of our mind and Dama means control of our senses. So once we practice Sama and Dama, then we can achieve Samatvam. See, we have to understand that God is eternal bliss. And the God sitting inside our hearts is the source of true bliss. But we are unable to appreciate and enjoy that true bliss. Why? Mostly because we are distracted. We are distracted. Our mind is distracted. And we are also, our senses are also all the time distracting. They want attention. You know, it is like you're trying to watch a very important or very nice movie and you have 5 children in your home and every second, Mama, I want this, Mama, I want that, Mama, look at me, Mama, he's fighting, Mama, I did that. And the movie is getting over and at the end of the movie, you have absolutely no idea what happened because, you know, you are not able to pay any attention. Just like that, the inner bliss is there. God is right inside. Satchidananda, it is right within us. But we are not able to appreciate it because we have so many distractions. And samatvam means we are able to handle those distractions. And how we are able to do that? One of the techniques is sama and dama, which means understanding that there are 2 aspects to this. One is the distraction of the mind itself, and one is distraction caused due to the senses. And if we can acknowledge and handle these 2, we go into samatvam. And that is what is so important. And let us also revisit something similar that Krishna spoke about in verse 2.55. Ashaji, you want to read 2.55 also?
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मयैवात्मना तुष्ट स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते.
Excellent. Beautiful. Thank you once again. So Krishna says, when one discards all selfish desires and cravings of the senses that torment the mind and becomes satisfied in the realization of the higher self, such a person is said to be Sthita Pragya. In short, somebody who can practice Samatvam consistently is a Sthita Pragya. Samatvam is a state of mind and Sthita Pragya is a person who has achieved that state consistently. And Krishna has said many times that this is the key to liberation. Like just knowledge or just, practicing a few different devotional things, they may not give us liberation. Krishna says, reaching the state of Siddha Pragya by practicing Samatvam is kind of a prerequisite for us to gain liberation. So that is why it is very important that we focus on these teachings and try to maintain this equanimity of mind. Now, let me try and explain slightly different perspective that, it may help everybody to appreciate the topic better. Okay, there is one more aspect to that. See, we all have a lot of faith in so-called science. So, people, especially youngsters, they are like, show me the evidence. And for them, evidence means it has to be in some science journal. Like some scientist has to come and, give a formula or say something, then they will believe it. Now we know that science has already proved that various emotions that we experience, they all result in various chemicals and chemical activities in the body. And it's kind of, that part is already proved. Science tells us that if you are, for example, if you are anxious, there is a particular chemical that is being released in the brain. Or if you are very stressed, then what happens? Or if, especially in physical activity, what kind of chemicals are being produced, and so on and so forth. So the whole thing is documented. So if you are happy, there is a certain chemical that gets generated. If you are anxious, there is a certain chemical gets generated. If you eat something sweet, some other chemical gets generated in the body. And if you have a lot of salt, there is another chemical. So this is all documented. So this much we all know. It's a fact. This is what happens in our body, right? So in other words, emotions, any emotion, you can point to a particular chemical in the body. That much fine. Everybody is fine with that, because that is a documented fact also, right? So what do you think is common between all chemicals? Doesn't matter what chemical it is. If I have to ask you, what is the one thing that you can say is common across any chemical? Can you think of something?
Reaction.
Okay. What else?
It
Ekansh is
changes.
thinking. Yeah.
It
You say
changes what. Yeah. It
you are very
changes
close.
what to do.
There is a
You are
stimulus.
very close. You are very close.
Some result we get.
Okay. Yeah, this is all related.
There is a
Reaction, changing.
stimuli. There is a stimuli, so it's produced.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right answers. There is one more, some fundamental commonality across any chemical. Okay. It's very simple. It doesn't matter what chemical you are talking about, it will have an expiry date. You take any chemical, you keep it, there is a limit how long it stays that way. This is what Preetiji was very, very close. She said it changes. It is inherent. Okay, everything will change. So that is what I call as the expiry date. So even if you buy a medicine in the shop today, what is a medicine? A medicine is pretty much a mix of chemicals. That is what a medicine is. But any medicine you buy today in pharmacy will have an expiry date. Why? Because that is the nature of a chemical. After a certain period of time, it will change. And when it changes, it is no longer the chemical that you expected it to be. So what am I trying to arrive at? Why are we talking about that? Because we first said that every emotion can be related to a chemical. And then we said that every chemical has an expiry date. In other words, no chemical is permanent. So now if you can add these two facts, you arrive at the truth. That is the truth which says that all emotions, all sensory pleasures, they're all temporary. Because they're all just a play of chemicals. And we just said that chemicals are temporary. So how can your pleasure, pain, your sensory experiences, how can you say that they will last forever? They can't. This is the fact. So, and this is the concept that this modern medicine, they actually abuse this concept. So for example, if somebody is all the time sad, they try to pump him with the chemical that is supposed to represent happiness. And they think that that will make the person happy, Or if somebody is depressed, they will try to pump him with a different chemical. So modern science has been trying to abuse it, but they don't have a solution yet. Why? Because the same problem. All chemicals are temporary. So as long as the effect of the chemical is there, the person has the illusion of being happy. As soon as the effect goes away, they are even more sad. So then what is permanent? That is why Krishna says the only permanent thing is the true inner bliss. That is the Sachidanand. That is not a chemical-based happiness. That is your true essence. That is the real true happiness, and that is what is going to be permanent. So how can you appreciate that? How can you get that bliss? So Krishna says that bliss is already inside you. You just have to take care of the distractions. Just like the movie is already going on in your house. You just have to make your children behave, not distract you. Then you will appreciate the movie. Just like that, Krishna says that bliss is already inside you. So if you have to realize that, if you have to appreciate that and enjoy that, just take care of the distractions. And when you take care of distractions means what? He has explained that beautifully by saying that is samatvam. So if you feel annoyed, don't get annoyed. If you feel overjoyed, don't get overjoyed. In other words, try to identify what is going on and try to identify that it is all a game of chemicals and emotions and moderate yourself. That way you will do sama and dama both. You will become a sthita pragya like this. And once you become a sthita pragya, no distractions are there. And when there are no distractions, your true inner self will shine and you will be able to recognize and appreciate it. Isn't it so simple and so profound at the same time? This is what Krishna is teaching us in the first few slokas of this section today. Yeah, so being established in God consciousness is the ultimate goal of life, because that represents the true fulfillment. But there is nothing more to attain. Once you attain that, you will realize that I've reached. I mean, this is what, there is nothing more to it. I've already attained the absolute. That is what is the state of completeness. Some of you attended my Bhakti Sutra sessions, and there we discussed about how this feeling of incompleteness is by design. And the only thing that can complete it is this love for God, this God realization that leads us to God realization. See, this is the whole, I wish I was better at explaining, because, it's so profound and it's so beautiful that Krishna says that anybody can achieve this ultimate bliss. Anybody can achieve this God realization. Because a lot of us think that we have to be born in a certain way, or we have to have a certain physical ability, or we have to be like scholars, or we all think that something extra is required. Whereas Krishna has beautifully said, no, you practice samatvam, become a sthita pragya. And he says, you will achieve, keep doing everything I'm asking you to do and maintain samatvam, reach the state of sthita pragya, and then you will experience that inner joy and bliss, and then you will realize that you have already reached the goal. That is the goal. Beautiful. So it's very important, because, in today's world, a lot of us, we are at the sensory level. We are driven by senses, external experiences. I want to eat this, I want to touch this, I want to wear this, I have to see this, I have to go there. It's always driven by this. The senses are craving. And there is nothing wrong in seeing beautiful places or wearing good clothes. That's not the point. The point is, that can't be a constant distraction, because then all our life we are only running behind these things. Total distraction. So this teaching is very important for us, because what happens otherwise, we are controlled by those senses. We are controlled by those sensory pleasures. And that is not the goal. That is taking us further and further away from the real goal. So Vedanta, that is what Vedanta says. Vedanta says, that is why you have to see, it is not that what is wrong in eating tasty food. There is nothing wrong. Or what is wrong in smelling, good flowers. There is nothing wrong. I mean, enjoy your senses. That's not the point. It's like saying, what is wrong in taking care of my children? There is nothing wrong. The only point is, don't get constantly distracted by them. Or don't let your senses now control you. That is the message. And as you can see, Krishna has been repeating this. I don't know how many of you are keeping a track of this, but you may see that so many times Krishna has spoken about samatvam. From chapter 2 to chapter 5, this term has come so many times. Any idea why do you think Krishna repeats? What is your opinion? Why he may be repeating this? Come on, there is no wrong answer.
When you do samatvam practice, it means you won't get confused. So what's your goal to attain? It's a way. It's a way.
Okay, you're right. I said no wrong answer. This is right only. But what I'm trying to understand, or what I want all of us to understand, is why does Krishna keep revisiting a few concepts like this? He will come at it again and again from different angles, because like maybe Suchita may appreciate this, imagine an artist who is trying to paint something. I don't know if Sujita does it. She's an artist, but I don't know if she does it. But I've seen many artists do that. They will paint something, then they will go a little far and they will look at their own painting. And then they will come closer and then they will do some more adjustments. And then they will again go look at it from another angle. You do that, Sujita?
Yes, Guruji.
That's exactly what Krishna is doing. So Krishna is painting a picture, and then he's helping us see that from a distance, and then he's taking us to a different angle. He's giving us different views, and he's trying to perfect that image in our mind by constantly going back and forth, like giving a bigger picture. First, he will make a statement like, you need to be a Siddha Pragya. And then we question why. Then we come closer and we say, because that helps you maintain a balance. And then he again goes a little further, gives you another bigger picture, and then comes close. That is what he's doing. Divine artist. He's trying to paint the picture and helping us see all the nitty-gritties of that picture in our mind. Very beautiful way to explain something. So you are all very good, kind students, I have, but I've had some other audiences which have not been this kind. So they will immediately come and say, what do you mean, samatvam? That feels like lifeless. That feels like, are you asking us to be a stone? Somebody has actually asked that question also to me in another session, a little angrily, like, is Krishna saying we should be a stone? Do you feel like that? Does anybody think that is what Krishna is saying? Good. I'm happy that you don't feel like that. But, that is exactly true. It is not what Krishna is asking, because, Krishna is explaining that true spiritual growth is not about becoming emotionless. It is about, Krishna is not saying that you should not have happiness or you should not have joy. Krishna is saying the focus has to be on experiencing the true happiness and true joy.
I think what I understand is like full participation in the drama of life, because you've been put here for a purpose, but at the same time not forgetting what your end goal should be, right?
Exactly.
You have to participate in this drama of life. I mean, you cannot withdraw yourself. Like, you have to do the things that you have to do. So full participation in that, but at the same time practice this equanimity and detachment, like not without forgetting where is your end goal. I think so. I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. You have actually said it. That is perfectly right. So that is practice vairagya. And that is exactly what we discussed in chapter 3 and 4 when we said renunciation in action. So Krishna says, yeah, take part in the drama. Do your duties, take part in actions, but be a renunciate internally. Don't give in to these attachments and distractions. So the emphasis is on your internal state of mind. Let it not get distracted and let it not get thrown away here and there by what is happening externally. That is the whole message. So in verse 21, Krishna is teaching us about the profound joy that arises from within, which is not dependent on external stimuli at all. Because as we said, that is not a chemical reaction. That is something beyond all chemistry. So he speaks of bahya sparshesu asaktatma, which translates to with the heart unattached to external contacts. So in other words, Krishna is reiterating that true happiness does not come from external objects or external experiences. They can give you temporary joy. They can give you some chemical reactions here and there. But true happiness comes from within. It is an inside affair. That is his message to all of humanity. And Krishna is kind of repeating the limitations of sensory pleasure. I mean, Krishna acknowledges, Krishna knows that, yes, senses give you pleasure, but it is limited. We have to go beyond the limitation. So sparsha means touch. So while this is one of the senses, so Krishna is saying these senses may appear very real. That is the game of Maya, because it is the other way around. We all say that, how can I believe something that I cannot touch or see? Whereas Krishna is saying anything that you can touch and see, they are what are unreal. So this is the game of Maya, where everything is like inverted, topsy-turvy. Okay. And Krishna is saying all these sensory pleasures are fleeting, temporary. So I hope this all makes sense. And so Sri Ramakrishna, he classifies human joys into 3 categories. First category is Vishayananda, which means joy that comes from sensory objects, Vishay. The second category, he says, is Bhajanananda, which is the kind of bliss and happiness we get from devotional practices.
Depends.
And the third type, he says, is Brahmananda, which is the ultimate bliss that you get from realizing Brahman. And Krishna is saying that while sensory pleasures are valid, there are higher forms of joy that we should aspire to. And the Bhajanananda, which is the bliss we get from devotional practices, it is said to be a bridge that takes us towards Brahmananda. Because you cannot just automatically just sit and get Brahmananda. You have to do something, purify yourself and all of that. So let us at least prioritize Bhajanananda. In other words, let us prioritize feeling happy based on devotional and spiritual practices. Let us seek happiness from that. And eventually that will take us towards Brahmananda, where you can experience bliss without needing anything external. Ultimate goal. The other thing is a very important concept that Krishna has said. The sensory pleasures, invariably, anything that gives you pleasure today or now, any sensory pleasure, eventually will lead to discomfort and disappointment. It's a fact. So we need to know that. For example, how many of you like eating like a laddu? How many of you like laddus? Okay, that is Smitaji's daughter likes laddu. Okay, Suchitaji likes laddu. Ekanshji, okay. Ekansh, how many? Okay, Preetiji also likes laddu. Preetiji, how many laddus can you eat?
Maybe 2.
Okay, 2. What happens if somebody feeds you 5 more?
I'll throw up.
Why? But I thought it gives you pleasure.
It's over my capacity.
Exactly. Exactly. Because if you realize, take anything that gives you sensory pleasure, not only is it temporary, it is also limited. Because you think it gives you pleasure, but try having a lot of it, even more of it. Eventually, the thing that gives you pleasure will turn out to be giving you discomfort. Take anything. Okay. So that is something that you can experience yourself. You don't need divine knowledge for that. So Krishna is saying not only is a sensory pleasure temporary, but it is also limited. Contract that with Sachidananda, the true bliss, which is permanent. Once you get it, it never goes away, and there is no limit. You can have infinite bliss and you will be infinitely blissful. See, so all of these teachings are helping you first acknowledge and understand the limitations of the sensory pleasures, so that once you are convinced, then we will say, okay, now how do I reach for something better? And Krishna says that, how do you reach for something better? And Ramakrishna has also given a nice mechanism. He says, first, try to get pleasure from spiritual activities and devotional practices, that is Bhajanananda. And once you get into a mode of, always seeking happiness from spiritual and devotional practices, that will eventually take you towards Brahmananda. And constantly, like Smitaji said, always keep a tab on attachment. This is why attachment is a problem, because as long as you have strong attachments, you cannot have samatvam. And if you cannot have samatvam, you cannot have balance. If you don't have balance, you will always be distracted. If you're always distracted, you can never even, grasp divine knowledge. And if you don't grasp divine knowledge, how will you go towards bliss? And so it's like a beautiful chain of events, I hope it's all making sense. So again, inner bliss, true bliss, there is no time limit. It is eternal, and there is no quantity limit. You can have as much of it as you want. It's infinite. So what are the challenges? Now, we just again repeated that samatvam is what is the key. Then what are the challenges to achieving this kind of inner peace? We said get rid of distraction. Okay, but that is easier said than done. People usually ask, okay, if it was so easy, everybody should be getting rid of distraction. So what is preventing us? What is the key challenge? There are many challenges. What are the key challenges? That is where Krishna, I think it is 5.23. Yes. 5.23 is where Krishna says, Shaknoti haivaya chodum prak sharira vimokshanat kam krodod bhavam vegam sa yuktah sa sukhinaraha. Where Krishna is saying, very, very important, pay attention here, because Krishna is also saying what the challenge is, and Krishna is also saying what you need to do. So he says, in this human form, if you can withstand the tremendous current arising from lust and anger, then you can be a yogi. And in the previous sloka that we read, Krishna said, whoever can practice samatvam consistently is a yogi. So put those two pieces together, what Krishna is saying. Krishna is saying that lust and anger, they are both very, very strong adversaries because they are very powerful. So Krishna says, but if you can resist that current, if you can resist and handle that, and if you cannot give in to that, then you will become a yogi. In other words, then you will be able to maintain samatvam and achieve the state of Sthita Prajna. So there are many vikaras. Lot of cultures have lot of different counts. Like some of them say 6 vikaras, some say 7, some say 5. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Ahankara, and all of that. And Krishna is out of that picking the top 2. And he's saying the top 2 is Kama and Krodha, lust and anger. And he said these are the most powerful, and they pretty much are the cause why we are not able to practice samatvam or go towards Sthita Prajna. So again, go back to Pragma 1. Pragma 1 is saying that keep a track of your inner saboteur. And what is the inner saboteur? So this is what it is. So whenever you think you are acting based on anger, keep a check. Catch it and say that, oh no, right now what I'm saying or doing is based on anger, so let me not do that. Or if you think your actions are based on just lust, that you are just running behind something, out of control, if that is happening, then tell yourself, this is not right. Krishna has said it is wrong. Like that, if you can make small corrections, eventually you will get a good practice, and eventually a day will come when you will be able to totally handle these two emotions beautifully. You cannot get rid of those forces. It is not possible that you will never have lustful thoughts or you will never have anger. That is not the point. The point is you will be able to handle them. They will not be ruling you. That is what is key. So, and Krishna is saying you can do it. Anybody can do that. You just have to make some internal changes. I mean, it may seem very simple. Just take care of lust and anger, but that is profound. I mean, if you can do that, that is pretty much what a yogi is made up of. Yeah. But I think the point is consistency. That is, we come back to this concept of consistency. It's okay. Today you failed. So what? Tomorrow again try. Fail. That's okay. As long as you know that you are supposed to keep trying, there is no defeat. We just have to keep on doing it consistently. And success is guaranteed. See, the another thing to keep in mind, this is not very obvious here, But now we are all liking what we are reading and all of that. We think the knowledge makes sense, all of that. But there is one key ingredient that is required if you really have to succeed on the path, and that ingredient is faith. Because you have to have faith in Krishna, then you can have faith in his teachings. Otherwise, a doubt will keep coming in the mind. Yeah, I am saying that Krishna said this, Krishna said that. But can I trust Krishna? Is Krishna right? That question comes. And as long as you get into that mode, then how can progress happen? Because that is also game of Maya only, na? Where Maya is playing a master stroke. It is saying, okay, whatever you learnt, how can you be sure it is the right thing? Then khatam. Then our mind is again going in circles. So that faith is extremely important. So there is actually one story. Maybe we have some time, so I can talk about that story. It's a beautiful little story. So Narad Muni, you all know who is Narad Muni, sage Narada. He was on his way to Vaikuntha, and on the way to Vaikuntha, he happens to meet a cobbler and a scholar. And, so he first comes to the scholar, and the scholar says, "Oh, Naradji, welcome," and all of that. So, are you on your way to Vaikuntha? And Naradji says, Yes, I'm on my way to Vaikuntha. Is there something I can do for you? The scholar says, okay, when you get to Vaikuntha, can you please ask Krishna when I will get liberation? So Naradji says, okay, I'll do that for you. And then next stop is at the cobbler's house. So he goes to the cobbler, and the cobbler is also like, respecting him, welcoming him, all of that. And then the cobbler also says, are you on your way to Vaikuntha? Naradji, yeah. Can I do something for you? Cobbler says, yes, Guruji, please ask Krishna when I'm going to get liberation. So Naradji is amused. He's like, I'm asking them what I can do. I'm going to Vaikuntha, and they're both telling me just get an answer. That's okay. I'll get answer for them if that's what they want. So eventually Naradji reaches Vaikuntha, and then he and Krishna, they are having a lot of discussions and all. And then Naradji says, by the way, Krishnaji, you know that cobbler and that scholar, from that village, they are asking me, when will they get liberation? So Krishna says, oh, okay. Tell the scholar that there is a tree in his backyard. Tell him that there are so many leaves on the tree, he's going to need those many lifetimes to get liberation. And Naradji says, oh, really? And what about the cobbler? He says, oh, tell the cobbler that this is his last birth, and he's going to get liberation. And Naradji is also a little confused. Naradji has total faith in Krishna, but he is not very sure how to explain this to the cobbler and the scholar, because Naradji is saying, but that scholar is, spent so much of his life in reading the scriptures and all of that, and how am I going to explain this? And Krishna says, don't worry. When you go, they will first ask you, what was Krishna doing when you were talking to him? Krishna he's the super Mayavi, right? So he knows everything. So he says, the first question they will ask you when you go back is, what was Krishna doing? So he says, tell them that Krishna was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. Just visualize that. Okay, so he says, tell them that Krishna was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. Naradji is feeling very amused. Krishna, what Leela is this? He says, just go. I'm telling you, you will get your answer also, they will get their answer also. He says, okay. So then he goes back and he meets the scholar. Scholar says, welcome Naradji. So did you get an answer for me? But before you answer me, please tell me, what was Krishna doing? And Naradji says, wow, this is exactly what Krishna said he will ask. He said, yeah, my scholar, dear scholar, Krishna was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. And the scholar is looking all shocked. Scholar says, what? Krishna was taking an elephant through the eye of a needle? What are you saying? How is that possible? And then he goes on a commentary of the size of the needle, size of the elephant, and all the various principles he knows, and how it just doesn't look possible. And then Naraji says, see, Baba, I don't understand all of this. This is what Krishna was doing. I'm just telling you. And he says, okay, then do you have the answer to my question? Like, when will I get liberation? Then he says, I think now I understand Krishna's answer. He says, the tree, as many leaves that it has, that many births you are going to take. And then he leaves that place. And then he goes to the cobbler's house now. And the cobbler welcomes him and says, oh, welcome back from Vaikuntha. So what was Krishna doing? No, uncanny, like uncanny. Exactly what Krishna said, this guy is asking him. Naraji says the same thing. Krishna was taking the elephant through the eye of a needle. The cobbler starts dancing. He starts dancing in ecstasy. He says, oh, that is my Lord. That is my Krishna. Nothing is impossible for him. You know, he's like, if my Lord can create such a big tree from such a tiny seed, why can't he take an elephant through the eye of a needle? All praises to Krishna, all glory to Krishna. You see the difference? And Naraji says, wow, now I understand Krishna's Leela. And he tells the cobbler, my dear cobbler, this is your last birth. You will get liberation after this. Now you saw the tatparya of the whole story. Is all the knowledge will take you only so far. At the end of the day, a lot depends on our faith. So if you have faith, then the teachings will be internalized more easily, and we will believe in the teachings, and we will practice the teachings, and when we practice the teachings, we will get success. So I hope this all makes sense, my dear Satsang family. A real honor to be with you, session after session. Hare Krishna. So I think our Ekanji has a question.
This was such an excellent story, Guruji. I mean, I think it's one of the best that I've ever heard. Thank you so much. It was so beautifully said. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Guruji, no question, but just a comment. When you were telling the story, the thing cobbler said, it came into my mind that it is possible for Krishna. So it is going to be my last birth. I haven't heard it before, but it came into my mind.
You have to ask Krishna, Ekansha. Yeah, excellent. I'm so happy that is a thought that came to your mind. Definitely. I think you are on the way. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
So next session, we are going to complete chapter 5. It's going to be another beautiful milestone for us. So I hope you all continue the journey with equal passion and, my best wishes. Let all of us progress quickly, fastly. See, there are other places where Krishna has also said that doesn't matter what your horoscope is, or doesn't matter how you were when you were born. Maybe when you were born, you were very far from liberation. But in this life itself, if you just follow the teachings, if you just have faith and devotion, you can become a Jivana Mukta. It is possible. And that is where we should use our free will. So we should use our free will to kind of correct our own vikaras, our own sanskaras, overcome them. It is possible. It just takes effort, and we have to consciously put that effort. And if you have faith, that effort will come more easily. Yes, Ekans?
Guruji, I don't know. It is like very foolish confusion that I have. It's like everybody has like many dreams when they're kids, right? So when I was a kid, I was having a dream that I need to own like multiple businesses, and I want to have this big home and multiple properties. So as I'm getting like older and older, like getting into devotional practices or reading spiritual, so it's like doing what I have understand. Doing duty is your what actually you need to do is your duty. Don't rely on the results, and whatever the result is, give it to the Krishna's samarpit it to the Krishna, right? So similarly, it's like as I wanted to own a multiple businesses. Now sometimes I think like going for one business is fine now. So why this confusion is coming into the mind? So
Not
what should
business,
we?
Ekant. That is what I took it.
Yeah.
You still want it.
Yeah, you still want it, but now you want to give result to the Krishna, right? I don't want it, but it is confusion now, because when I was kid, I was thinking like I need to have multiple cars and like this, right? Every kid has.
I don't see any confusion, Ekansh, because no matter what the teaching is now, at the end of the session, you always want a business, you always want a car, you know, you want multiple
Yeah,
businesses. I think you are very clear. I don't see a confusion.
so it's like owning these things will become like a hurdle or obstacle for to your liberation, or it depends on you, right? You need to realize God every moment. Even you are doing these duties, even you are getting involved into it, but you are not attached to the result. Like now I'm not attached. Agar wo aata hai, it's good. Nahi aata, that's also fine. I'm happy.
Yeah, so confusion kidhar hai? What is the confusion?
So अब confusion गुरुजी यहाँ आती है कि should I should I still work on many things, or just I should stay calm and just one thing is good?
See, first of all, your absolute goal has to be, you need to have, you know, you need to reach that stage of liberation. Ultimate goal. Now backtrack from there. Backtrack from there, that for you, before you reach there, what are all the things that you are bound to do? Do you have a family you need to support? Or, you know, do you have some other obligations you need to fulfill? Do you have, are you in a position where you should be helping your community? You have to make that assessment, and you have to just make sure that first you finish all the duties. If the duty asks you to have multiple businesses just so that you can employ more people and give employment to them, and so the kind of the purpose should be all tied to something higher. The purpose should not just be, you know, I need more money in my bank account, or I need to be more popular. So as long as you understand that, na, your, I think, thought process will automatically become more streamlined, and then you will be able to do what is required to be done without being anxious of, am I really going to have 5 cars or 4 cars? I mean, that doesn't matter then, no? Because your absolute goal is now not having those 3 businesses. Your absolute goal is now to have that ultimate Sachidananda, the bliss, and you are just doing whatever is required to reach there, right? So all I'm saying is, set your radar there, set your radar higher. It is like saying, you know, see, for example, if your goal, you're in Victoria, correct? Yeah. If your goal is to reach, say, Kelowna or Kamloops, and you land up in Vancouver, that is a big problem for you, correct? But if your goal is to reach the moon, and on the way you are going to Kamloops or Kelowna or Vancouver, does it matter? That is the whole point. So if your goal is higher, if you're aiming at something absolute, something really high, then what happens on the way won't really disturb you so much, because you know that these are all just the means, they are not the end. You see, that is how you are able to practice samatvam, and you are able to succeed on the path.
Got a lot of clarification now.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
It should not be like I want it. The purpose should be higher, not like I should be popular or something like that.
Exactly. The purpose is higher, and when the purpose is higher, this at a lower level, deviations shouldn't disturb you so much, because you know that you are on the way to something higher. That's the whole point. Okay.
Got it.
Thank you for
so
this
much,
question. Okay then, my dear Satsanga. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Grateful to all of you. See you in the next session. Take care and stay blessed.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare,
Guruji, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guruji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.